Hi there guys, Ken here, your thrifty apprentice, and welcome back to another thrifty review. In today's video, we are going to be taking a look at Windsor and Newton professional paint stick set. This is a 10 paint stick set that I received from Miss Diane Zimmerman, who is the wonderful moderator of a beginning watercolor Facebook group, which I'm going to be sure to link in the description below. You guys have heard me mention it before in other videos. It is a wonderful place and space for both beginning, intermediate, as well as advanced artists to go and learn and grow and share their work and be able to, just communicate and be with like-minded people in the watercolor community. So I will be sure to link that. Now, about 2 years ago, Ms. Zimmerman did send this to me as a gift with a lot of other things, which, if I'm not mistaken, there's also a video on my channel showing the unboxing of all the things that she sent me. So this is what we're going to be looking at today. Let's go ahead and just jump right in. Let me say at the beginning of this review, guys, that everything that you're going to hear is completely and solely my opinion based on my experience with this particular product. I am in no shape, form, or fashion paid for the things that I'm about to say. I'm not receiving any benefit from it other than the fact that hopefully I'm able to provide you with information that will help you make a better informed decision about whether this is a product that you would like to add to your art supply collection. So the paint sticks come in this really nice, sort of lightweight tin. It's actually a very sturdy tin, which it is from Windsor and Newton's professional line, so I wasn't expecting it to be anything flimsy. It has the Windsor and Newton, logo on the front. And that's pretty much all of the markings that are on the box. I cannot remember if it came in any wrapping. I'm not sure that it did. But be that as it may, this is what I do have to present to you guys today. So with it not being a lot of hoo-ha surrounding the package, we'll just go ahead and dive directly into the product itself. So we'll open it up here. And then as you can see, directly on the inside, I've cut down a piece of watercolor card in order to insert in the top of my tin here, just so I could have a swatch and be familiar with what the colors look like once they're actually wet. And we are actually going to get into looking at some swatches a little bit more in just a moment. But this is just the one that's in the top of this particular tin. Now, the paint sticks this particular set of paint sticks come with 10 sticks. These are professional watercolor paint sticks. So these are pretty much pure pigment sticks. And they can be used, in my experience, in the place of watercolors. As you can see, I've already cut off part of each one of the sticks, and I've just placed them into half pans into this homemade palette that I have here in order to be able to paint with the sticks and use them. Well, I can't get that open. Let's see. What do you know? But guys, I'm having oh, there we go. Lord, I was having the hardest time getting that open. But I've cut the paint sticks down and put them in the half pans. And you can see I've been using them quite a bit. As I said, I've had them for about 2 years now, and this review is really long overdue. So just want to show you guys really quickly what I do with them, more so than using them directly in stick form. And we're going to get into why I do it this way more in just a moment. So let's take a look at the sticks themselves. It is a pure pigment paint stick. It's about so long. I really hate I don't have a picture I can throw up in the corner. And of course, if you decided to Google it, you'll get to see how long it is. From my understanding, these are not as big as most paint sticks from professional paint lines. I did have the opportunity to hold one of these up to a fellow artist, Daniel Smith paint sticks. And when I tell you that these are so much smaller than the Daniel Smith sticks, and I've also compared them to other stick media, water-soluble stick media that I have. And again, they are very, very small in comparison. As a matter of fact, I'll show you guys what I mean. I'm just going to grab one of my Caran d'Ache watercolor crayons here, and I just wanted you guys to see. Now, the stick in its whole form is only about as long as where my finger is. So you can see the dramatic difference, not only in the length, but in the width of the stick compared to like a regular watercolor crayon. And mind you, this Caran d'Ache crayon is also a professional product. So that's just something to keep in mind. If you guys are interested in purchasing these, you won't be getting a lot of media per se with the sticks. Now, each stick is wrapped with the Windsor and Newton logo wrapper on it. It'll say professional watercolors there, which again, I've cut some of that off. Each one of the wrappers will show you. Let's see if we can get that in focus. I'm not sure if you guys can see that, but it'll show you like the color number or the stock number for Windsor and Newton's use. It shows you the website, the Windsor and Newton number you can contact, that they're made in France. Some of these do contain cadmium. Excuse me, I'm still working on saying that. Cad, should I say, which we do know to be, excuse me, toxic. So I do suggest proper care and use with these paint sticks, just like you would with any other professional product that may contain some products that can be harmful if not used properly. The paint sticks are going to also contain the series number, the transparency rating, the pigment number, as well as light fast ratings for each one. So you are going to get all of the normal professional information that you expect to come with a professional product on these. So light fast, transparency, series number, as well as the pigment information for each one of the sticks. It comes in, like I told you, this tin, and they're fitted inside like this foam. Let's see if I can get this out of here. This foam container or little holder here, which holds them. You can actually lift that out and use the bottom of the pan. I want to see if I can get this out for you guys really quickly. See if I can just, because it will come out. It's pretty deep, pretty thick. Let me see. There we go. See if I can get that on out of there so you guys can see really quickly. So the tin in itself is really nice to have, because if you decided that you wanted to pull this foam insert out, and it's fitted in there really tightly, which is great to hold the sticks and keep them from jogging around. You have a really nice tin here that you can use to put those in, especially if you want to buy other stick colors. You could just use that container for that. So in that aspect, it is really nice. And I'm just going to go ahead and stick that back in here. And stick my paint sticks back in. And of course, you do see the exclamation warning sign on there again to let you know that these are not non-toxic, products. This is not a non-toxic product. It is a professional paint, so it needs to be handled with care. That's basically what I'm saying. And that's pretty much straightforward how the sticks look themselves. I'm going to move this to the side. And once again, we'll take a really quick look at the little palette that I have them in, which I just cut them down. And these are not glued in here. This little palette I picked up from Hobby Lobby, Art Bin. I think it's Hobby Lobby. I think I picked this up from Hobby Lobby. May have been Michael's, but I'm leaning more so towards Hobby Lobby. I can't really remember. But I cut off the paint sticks and stuck them down into the half pans. And I just wet them and use them as paints more than sticks. And the reason that I do that is because I personally feel like you get more coverage with the product using it in a paint form than you do using it in a stick form. And we're going to look at some examples of that in just a moment. Okay, so let's take a look at the swatch itself. So I'm just going to grab this little swatch book that I have and open up to the paint sticks that I have swatched out. Let's see if we can zoom that in just a little bit so you guys can see it better. All right. So here are the swatches of the color. You have Windsor yellow, cadmium red, alizarin crimson, French ultramarine, Prussian blue, which, mind you guys, in any paint set happens to be one of my favorite colors. I love how deep and dark Prussian blue is. Although I do have come to understand that it's not the most light fast color depending on the brand. We have Windsor green, yellow ochre, burnt sienna, and ivory black. Now, your Windsor yellow is like a really cutesy name for like lemon yellow. And the Windsor green, if I'm not mistaken, is a cutesy name for phthalo green. And if I am wrong about that, please somebody jump into the comments section and go ahead and correct that so that anybody reading the comments will have that correct information. But this is the research that I've done, and this is what the conclusions that I've come to. So as you can see, all of them do come with the pigment number, and of the 10 sticks, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 are single pigment colors, which I did not actually put the pigment number for the Windsor yellow on there, and there was a slight overlook. I do apologize about that. The cad yellow, or the cooler yellow of the two, is a mixture of 3 pigments. That's PY65, PY97, and PW6, which I'm not really sure why it had to be 3 pigments mixing to make that. The burnt sienna, again, is a mixture of 3 pigments. The yellow ochre is a mixture of 2 pigments. So just keep in mind that when it comes to color mixing, you're going to get more pure mixes from single pigment colors than you will from multiple pigment colors. The colors, for the most part, are pretty transparent. Now, this is not stick direct to paper. These swatches are done from me actually using the paint sticks in a paint form, so to speak, from the half pans versus using the stick to color the swatch section directly and then wetting it with water. And I'm going to show you why in just a moment. Colors are pretty transparent. There's a little haziness there with that yellow ochre. The black, for all intents purposes, is just that black. You can get it in heavier. They spread out into some really nice thin layer mixtures with water, a lot of water added. And they also layer really well. As you can see, I got some really nice consistency with that. You can see a better example of it here in the Windsor green, where with the 3 different shades I was able to get from the one stick. So for all intents purposes, they are pretty nice and vibrant when you're using them in paint form or not directly stick to paper. So let's just take a look at a stick. I'm just gonna grab one here. We'll grab the cad red, and there's a couple of things that I kind of wanted to show you guys about the sticks so that you will kind of have in mind as you're making the decision whether you want to buy these. So let's just look at what the sticks look like directly to paper. So this is just a regular piece of Aqua B 100% cotton 140-pound paper, and I'm just going to start by color in a little swatch area here so you guys can see. And as you can see, as the color is going down, in my opinion, using this technique this way, it's not very pigmented. And you'll notice that, like say like maybe a watercolor pencil, it leaves some tooth uncovered. And I actually need to grab, let me see, do I have a water brush here? I think I do. I have a water brush. So let me grab this water brush, and I'm just going to dissolve. Well, I had something else on that. Let's see. That brush wasn't clean, guys. Overlook that. Okay, give me a second. Let me grab a clean brush. Okay, so let's see. I'm just going to grab a brush here. and wet it. And we are going to come in and dissolve. Now, the thing about the sticks directly to paper and then using your brush to dissolve the pigment, a couple of things. One, the pigments don't necessarily easily dissolve. You have to put a little work into it to get them to dissolve. Number two, in my opinion, the color payoff of the sticks directly to paper is not as vibrant as it is when you use the sticks in the, cut them down and put them in a pan and sort of use them like paints. So that's one thing to keep in mind. And as you can see, it does not necessarily cover all of the tooth of that little section, even when we're talking about the fact that I've used water to disperse the pigments. And I mean, you can go in with a couple of layers in order to get the look that you want, but I did kind of want to throw that out there and mention it just in case you were using or decided to use them stick directly to paper. Now, if you take the paper and actually wet it first, and then use the stick on it, you're actually going to get a much better color payoff than you would just using it directly to stick to paper. So as you can see, that's much more vibrant right out the bat, right off the gate. So that's definitely something to keep in mind if you decide to get them, and as far as using them and getting the best use out of your product. Again, not the smoothest or flattest wash is able to be achieved with these techniques. So this is why I lean so much more towards using them in the pan form, cut down into the pan form. So some things that I did like about them particularly is the fact that it's a great way to get artist colors at a cheaper price because they're kind of in a stick form, and the sticks are more paint than, like, say, a half pan would be in one individual particular color. Maybe even, well, no, I was going to say maybe even more than tubes, but I'm really not sure about that, so I just won't throw that out there. The sticks make some techniques easier. Like for instance, the direct coloring into a wet wash, adding texture to the backgrounds or texture to, like, maybe if you were painting tables or floors, I think they would work really well for that. The colors are stronger on a wet surface, but are really pale when you add water to them on a dry surface, using it dry to dry. It's not very strong. It sort of gives me, in my opinion, a vintage feel. And I did tell you earlier that the pigments require a bit of scrubbing to really get them to dissolve. Now, if you wanted to do a flat wash with them, my suggestion would be that you use it in, like I was saying, the paint form. So I'm going to still use the CAD, since that's what the CAD red, since that's the color we've been using here. I'm just going to pick some of that up on my brush, and then I'm going to lay that wash out. Now look at that. Look at the difference. That is absolutely beautiful. And some of these colors are going to have granulation in them as well, because I mean, these are some professional paints. Some of them will granulate. Let's take a look at the ultramarine blue, or in this case French ultramarine, which is normally a really granulating color in most sets. Let's just get that brush wet and take a look at it. Beautiful color. But again, be mindful that the color payoff in these, even in the best of techniques, which is using it like a paint, may not always be the best, may not always be the highest. I'm just gonna wet the area. I'm gonna show you guys what it looks like when you're doing wet on wet here. So we're gonna wet that area, and then I'm gonna take that ultramarine blue again, and we are just gonna look at that. Beautiful. Now you're not gonna get much disbursement. There's not gonna be a big boom and a rush of paint like you would, say, using core. The pigments pretty much stay where you put them. So if you are an artist who likes better control of the paint, where it goes and what it does, then maybe this would be a product that you would probably be interested in. But definitely the better way to use them, in my opinion, is to cut them down and use them like you're trying to use a paint. Now the colors will mix well. Let's just do a little color mixing here. And guys, I am kind of winging this review. I didn't really sit down and plan it out per se like I've done my other reviews. But I did want to kind of go ahead and get this review done because it's been too long coming. So let's just see here. Let's try our ultramarine blue. And we'll mix that with some crimson. And let's see if we can make a purple here. Nice violet color. And as you can see, they mix cleanly to me anyway. Those two mix to make a pretty nice looking violet there. Dark and nice. Let's try mixing it the other way. Let's use ultramarine, and this time I'm not going to work the area. As you can see, very beautiful color payoff that way. And then I'm going to actually use some cad red. Let's see what we get here. Now you see the difference? That purple is really muted, sort of dull. Why is that? Because here we mixed our warm blue with our cool red, and here we mixed our warm blue with our warm red. So warm and warm made a little bit of mud, darkened up the color. It's got more of a grayish purplish tint to it. And now that's not to say that that color can't be used. That could be a beautiful color used, and I'm going to show you in just a minute where I particularly used it at. But the more vibrant purple was definitely made from the first mix, and it's very bright and vibrant and beautiful there. So there's just a couple different ways that you can use, a couple of different techniques you can use with the sticks. Looking at some of the color mixing, as you can see, they do mix pretty well. Let's make a gray here, because the set does come with a black. It doesn't come with a white. I don't necessarily normally use black. I normally make my own black. So let's grab some, what do we have here? The burnt sienna. And let's mix that with the ultramarine blue. And see if we can get a gray here. And as you can see, we get a pretty nice neutral. And of course, the more blue you add, the darker you can make it. You can almost get it pure black. But I think they mix really well. So for all intents purposes, as long as I was using the colors as a paint from the half pans, where I was actually picking the color up from the stick per se, and then adding it to paper, either dry or in wet washes, I think it worked really well and made for some beautiful washes, made for some beautiful coverage. The paints do not really lift, but they do lift if you want them to. But once it's dry, they will stay in place. You can layer them pretty well without any issues. Let's see. So let's take a look at some of the paintings that I've done with the paint sticks. And guys, we're going to be wrapping this up. It's not going to be a really long review. So this painting of irises actually has a tutorial video on the channel if you guys want to go check this out. But this is where I was showing you that I had used the two different mixtures of purple in order to do a painting, and I think it turned out beautifully. I loved it. Once the paints dried, they gave the composition a really vintage old watercolor feel to me, which I particularly like. So that's something you may keep in mind if you are an artist that is after more punchy, vibrant, in-your-face colors. These colors are going to be more old world and more muted. They sort of remind me of the Lucas 1865 colors. I think that's what, yeah, They remind me of Lucas. They definitely remind me of Lucas a little bit more than anything else as far as how they look when they're dry. So let's take a look at another composition I did, which I think all of these have tutorials on the channels, and I'll be sure to link them below so you guys can check them out if you want to. So here is still life of a pear. Let me see if I can get that. Can't really get that in frame. Turn it sideways because of the way my camera is set up at the moment. But this is a pear. Let's see. We can move this out a little bit more. Here we go. Zoom out so you guys can see that. And the green that I use here does not come in the set. I was able to mix the green using blue and yellow, shades of blue, the 2 shades of blue and the 2 shades of yellow. And I feel like, again, this is another composition that came out pretty well. I was happy with it. I was able to get great details in the leaves with a credit card scraper. So I really enjoyed the way this one came, and the lifting went really well in this one. I was able to lift and kind of get back to some of the white of the paper without any issues. And one of the later compositions that I did with them, and which is also an Inktober video on the channel, was this pumpkin. Now, I really enjoyed this. I really enjoyed this because it was sort of a ink and wash situation. And with it being so close to Halloween and it being October, I just felt like a pumpkin was going to be the perfect subject. And I love the way it turned out. So much dimension, so much color payoff. Now, if you go back and look at the video, you will see that I did quite a bit of layering. I do believe that the paint sticks lend to layering really, really well. In order to get the color depth that I have. And then I also added colored pencils to the top in order to punch the color up some. So I just want you to keep in mind that if this is a product that you are going to purchase or invest in, whether you find the set or you buy you a couple of sticks open stock individually, just keep in mind that this is not going to be one of those punchy in your face products. But it is going to lend to some really nice sort of vintage feeling paintings. You're going to have to add other things to it in order to really just punch the color up. So there are some of the paintings that I did with them. Guys, please forgive me because I'm so scatterbrained right now. So let's just kind of review some of the pros and cons as we wrap this up and take a look at the product again. With the little swatch sheet that I have. So some of the pros, or the pros in my opinion, are that when you're using them in the cut down directly from the palette as a paint per se, you get wonderful results with your color depth, with color mixing, nice flat washes. You get control of the product. It doesn't just, you know, bleed and whoosh out everywhere, even when you're doing it in a wet wash. And in my opinion, the vintage color payoff that you end up with after the product dries is pretty, although it may not be for some people. Some of the cons of the product is that the color is not really strong when you use it direct to paper, like dry to dry form. It creates really, really, really great texture. But it doesn't cover all of the tooth of the paper when you're using it directly in stick to paper form. Not every technique that you're used to using when you use like a watercolor crayon or a watercolor pencil is necessarily going to work. Although if you didn't want to cut them down and put them in the half pans, you could just take a wet brush and apply it directly to the stick and paint that way. It's kind of the same concept. I just put them here because for me it's easier, and I feel like it's a suggestion that maybe for some people out there would be easier as well. So let's talk about purchasing these. I have dug and dug and dug, and I was not able to find the set anywhere. Now, typically, I do not review a product if I cannot, you know, put in the description where I found the product at. However, you can find the sticks out there open stock at several different places. Blick, Walmart, Jackson Art, um, Jerry's Autorama, and you can even find some open stock ones on Amazon, although I was not able to find a lot of them. So you may have to actually purchase them individually and put your own set together, because I was not able to find these anymore. So I don't know if they discontinued making the set, or if because of COVID and everything that's been going on over the last couple of years, that they're just a little harder to get and they're not in stock. So the Google search didn't pull them up. However, for about $2 to $4, depending on where you get it at, you can purchase the sticks open stock. Now, getting straight down to the nitty gritty, do I recommend them? I'll be very, very, very honest with you guys. I am typically a huge fan of Windsor and Newton products. I actually think Cotman is one of the, pretty standard, okay, student grade brands of paints out there. I've used Windsor and Newton professional paint itself. I think that it is actually a really nice product. But when it comes to the paint sticks, I will be honest, I believe that there are probably better options out there. Now, I feel really blessed and grateful that Ms. Diane actually gifted these to me, and for that reason, I've been using them. I've now reviewed them, and I'm going to continue to use them until I use them up. Now, will I actually purchase more paint sticks to add to this collection? Probably not, because I think there are some better products out there on the market as far as pure pigment paint sticks. That would be a better investment for your money. For instance, like Daniel Smith, and I will be doing a review on Daniel Smith paint sticks sometime in the near future, and you'll be able to see the difference when that happens. But I really don't think that, especially when you're talking $2 to $4 per stick and you're trying to put together an entire palette. Most people are going to use at least 8 colors. Standard palettes beginner palettes come with like 12 colors in it. So when you start looking at the money that you would invest in putting a set together, especially having to buy them open stock with them not necessarily being available in this particular set at the moment, then I just think there is probably a bigger bang for your buck and a better product. But if you decide that you do want to use them and you do want to purchase them, just keep in mind the different little few techniques that we talked about, and the fact that you're going to get better payoff, better results, and probably enjoy using the product more by breaking it down, putting it in the half pans, and using it as a paint palette versus using the sticks directly to paper. Well, guys, that's all I have on this particular product. Again, I kind of know that the information might have been all over the place, but I hope that I was able to relay something to you from my experience that'll help you make a decision whether you want this product. Don't forget, if you liked the video, the information you heard, you picked up on any tips or tricks, go ahead and give that video a thumbs up to let me know that you did like it. Share the video, please. Remember that sharing is caring. Don't forget to subscribe. Tell your friends to subscribe. Suggest the channel to other people. Tell them to subscribe. Visit us on Facebook or Instagram, which are our other outlets. I'll be more than happy for you guys to post your work there so that we can share it with this wonderful community that we are a part of. And as I tell you guys in every single video, just keep painting.